Hey everyone, we're going to go over pretty much step two right now of our hitting approach is the loading phase here. So it's a big process. It's a much intricate step into developing arm swings and defensively even watching arm swings and anticipating where the hitter is hitting, how the hitter hits, all these different little aspects. This is what kind of makes an individual hitter unique. It's kind of their wind up, their loading, and it's everyone has a slightly different approach and a slightly different tactic to this. All good hitters, step one is their drive step into the ball. Step two is their takeoff into this loading phase. So we're going into this process. Really going to go step by step, not really going over the step close and the jump, and not really the acceleration part, but we're really looking at the loading and how they get their body at an optimum hitting potential here. So I like to start off with jump serves a lot, and I like to see how they hit with a perfect kind of ball in a perfect situation, so they don't really have to adjust the set. And then it kind of gives me a baseline of what I'm looking at. So then obviously we can see their range, if the set's faster, if the set's higher, what they want to do. This is kind of on the jump serve is kind of a nice baseline. So we're going to start with that. And a lot of these players here are going to range from men and women and some of the best in the world here. So I'm going to start off with one of the players that I started off watching the most was Ivan Milkovic from Yugoslavia in the 2000 Olympics. This kind of gave me a lot of my personal kind of grew up watching him the most. So my arm swing is similar, but not exactly the same. But you do pick up things like that. Again, having said that, I would take this video mostly if I was a young player and work on arm swings, but if I was a normal player or an older player, high school, college, professional, I would really look at this from a defensive standpoint, because that gives you the timing of all your players. It gives you the timing of how they hit, when they hit, their range. Different arm swings have different kind of motion and availability. It's stretching out the arm capsule, and some kind of get on around the side, some do roundhouses, so I'm going to go over a lot of different ones, and you're going to see almost every single player is unique. So that's what kind of I love about volleyball too, is that this is kind of a really unique thing. I'm going to go over a lot of different players here. You're going to see all their different arm swings, and you're going to see just how different and unique each player is, and hopefully you kind of get to learn that player. So if you're playing against a team, you kind of pick up these little subtle things about them, and then you can kind of react and line up better on their blocking, line up better on their hitting. So first we're going to look at Ivan Milkovic. His is jump serve in the Olympics. We're not going to go over the footwork, because footwork for every good player is the same. It's a step close with a drive foot with the arms going down. And we've already covered that in step one. So we're getting into step two, our loading phase. Our loading phase starts here. Our loading phase starts when the arms are right in front of us. This is when every player starts their unique approach. Because every player before that has their good double arm lift here, a nice stride, has a good forward momentum, strikes the foot at the same time, same place. And this is the part right here is where you get into the uniqueness of every player. And what I mean by the uniqueness of every player is what their right arm and left arms are doing. Ideally, you want to have a nice looseness. You want to drive your arms pretty fast as you can, so it's lifting up your body. But how that person loads and gets into their approach and then is able to torque or turn is really independent of their personality and their individualism. So let's see first here. So Milkovic goes up, you can see right here, it's a nice little shoulder break. He has both arms here. This is pretty textbook. I call this I'm going to go through a lot of terminology. This is terminology that I use for myself so I can kind of think about. This is a pretty textbook arm swing. There's nothing too crazy about it. He's got a very powerful physique and a very powerful body, so his arm goes through the zone very quickly. But it's a nice break and a left-hand standard. So left-hand standard is just a high reach left standard. And you can see it just opens up, and he does a really good job of shoulder hip separation. So he kind of just brings his arm back up, elbow high, not a true double lift like a rebound, but he does bring that elbow back, and he does get it really, his specialty is his hip shoulder separation. This ability right there, this ability to twist this body around and then get his legs to curl back obviously naturally, and then get his arm pretty close to his ear. This ability right here is what really makes him a great player, is how much he can stay tall and get that hip shoulder separation and really twist and torque. So his arm speed, his arm's pretty standard. It's along for the ride. And I call this, basically, we're just going to call this a textbook arm swing. So again, arm swings, loading phases start about here. They start here. They load up. And then about there, that's about right there. That's when everybody goes back to a normal. So this, everybody that's any good really has this 90-degree angle, and then they accelerate with the elbow high like that normally. So you're going to see everybody does this last acceleration phase. But right now we're looking at the uniqueness of the second phase, the loading phase. So here, rebound effect, but with a slight bend in the right arm. Not a lot of motion. Snaps through, but brings a lot of heat and a lot of heat quickly. So that's his uniqueness. That's what he does. And so I'm using this too because this is one of the first games that I watched as a little kid. And this match had a big impact. So that's why I'm starting with this. And on the opposite side is Yakovlev, this guy right here, the opposite for Russia. Number 10 over here. And he had a completely different arm swing motion. He has a completely different loading phase. So you're going to see how drastic this change is. Here's him serving. He has a palm hand up natural break with a flip wrist in, and it's really low and it hangs low. So what I mean by that is, here's his double arm lift right here. And again, right there, this is where everybody's the same, and this is where they become a little bit different. So you can see Milkovich kind of let his hand and wrist didn't have much action to it. His hand and wrist was pretty straightforward. It didn't have much bend, didn't have much wrist action. But Yakovlev is really breaking this wrist and really getting that hand loose. So Yakovlev really uses that hand really loose. And he reaches really far low. Look how low he's reaching. He's taped up all his fingers too to give it a little bit more weight on the hand. A lot of players do this with their fingers. They do a lot of tape around the edges to keep it really loose. And so when they're loose in midair, it's kind of like a training method where they can feel their hand a little bit better. And then when they contact it, they're contacting it over the top. So they have a dramatic arm swing. They're getting over the top. They can feel the tape. They can feel their ball gets over the top of their hand. So again, right here, this is where everyone else stops. This is the uniqueness of every player, right? He starts right here, the uniqueness. And then right here is where everybody else, this is a normal, this goes back to where everybody else, that's good. Not even good, just everybody else in general. There hits. So that's the acceleration phase, that's phase 3. This is phase 3 right here. But the uniqueness comes with their loading phase. So this is their loading arm phase in here. So we're gonna go back to Milkovich for a second here. And you're gonna really see the difference between Milkovic's arm swing load. See how this is a nice textbook, not a lot of wrist, goes back quickly load. So here it keeps going up and up and up, and that way the arm angle is still pinched up. The shoulder capsule gets stretched back and then forward. And Yakovlev, of course, much different. Yakovlev goes up and then he does a nice bicep break. So a lot of force on this bicep here. And then he comes down with it. So it's really elongating his spine and it's shortening up the capsule in a longevity way. So that way he can get a lot of back thrust. So the shoulder joint is rotating a completely different direction, causing a little bit different action on the ball. Okay, we're gonna go over a lot of players here. So that was a breakdown. That was a quick breakdown of some basic tendencies we're gonna look for. And now we're just gonna go over a lot of players, and then you're gonna get to see a lot of different players and a lot of different arm swings. So hopefully you've realized that we're not looking at the feet. We're waiting for this phase to get their hands about to their chest, and then that loading phase. So here's a slow motion of Jiba in his later career when Jiba didn't have much of a roundhouse, or this is a fast set where he didn't really get a fast roundhouse on it. And you can see him pretty textbook, keeping that arm in a nice straight load. It comes down here. And then bam, there, that's when everybody else is the same. So here is when everybody else is the same, but this loading right here, opposite arms are equal. That one's swimming, this one's here. So it's good, two opposite equal arms. And then gets on top of it. Now this is a different, we'll go over this in the other video. This is not what we're going after phase 3, this is phase 3 here. But we're looking at the loading phase here. So he's going up, he's pulling his arm pretty straight back in one direction because it's a quick set. So he's shortened up his arm really quick. And now he's gotten on top of it on a quick short set. So it's a quick, short, nice, quick, fast set, short arm load. Here is the Club World Championships. The Italian opposite here. She brings it very high. So she does a double arm lift, but she goes, so here's her. That's where everyone's normal, right? She brings her arms really high and loose. She gets in a really interesting kind of diamond shaped. And she has such looseness in her body that this joint capsule just gets stretched far back in her head. Look how look how loose her arm joint is. So she goes way back, straight back with that. And then here, that's where everybody else becomes pretty normal. Deceleration phase again. But look at from this phase to there. That's her load. And you can tell because this is also the timing. So if a player does a roundhouse motion, if a player does a different motion, this player, you got to know the timing of her hit by her type of load. That way you're over the block. Because you want to be with her block, you want to be over before she hits it. So if she gets at a different load and you've timed that load wrong, you're not going to be blocking very well. That was Boscovich here. Boscovich has a nice We're going to go over Boscovich a lot here because she does interesting things with her left and right arm. I just want you to see her hit first, this one, without really going into it. So I just want to get you a first little taste of Boscovich because she does some interesting things later. All right, so we're going to go over another male player. This is one of the Italian pro teams, and they're just having practice, and they're just basically setting the pipe. So you get to see a couple players here. All right, so this is Felipe Lanza. And you're going to see on his approach, he does both arms up, diamond shaped. Here's the V diamond. It's kind of a wedge arm swing. It doesn't give a lot of range, but it's a really kind of a quick, gets on it pretty fast arm swing. So the arm joint is stretching back under the armpit, under the delt, and creating this kind of fast and high motion. So that's Lanza. Here's another player. So this is a lot of wrist action here. This takes a little bit longer to develop so here's up, wrist up, he's kind of natural break. The wrist palm does a lot of interesting things here. And then the hand looks outside. So this is taking a longer attack. This is taking longer to develop here in the swing here. So again, Lanza's. Again, we're isolating this motion up here from there to there. Look at the hand, look at the wrist. Everything's quick and efficient. From here to here, let's look at it. Kind of goes up, back, side, then out, and then over the top. There's Leon. Kind of brings his arm to the side. He does it like kind of like a hammer, like it's out and then smashed down. So again, there he's already started his arm. He pulls back and around. So he kind of pulls out and around. See how you can open up? This is open up here. And then he really gets everything loose and straight. This is amazing. He has an amazing phase 3 acceleration. He is absolutely 1,000,000% textbook perfect phase 3. His phase 2 is interesting because it's kind of a hammerish outside the body, but he's got a great tempo with it, a great load. And you can see this one just completely different here. Completely roundhoused underneath the arm socket's doing something completely different. Here's me. So again, I was a lot more like Milkovich when I was younger, so I watched him a lot. So here right now I have kind of a bent wrist. I have a couple different techniques I do. This one was kind of a quick set. I just wanted to get on it quickly. So the wrist is down, the thumb is down. And then kind of like a V but with a forward hand. But then again, that's the acceleration phase. It was kind of quick. It didn't get all the way back. But I popped on it quickly. So it was kind of a modified fast set. Wasn't really a V, wasn't really much. again.
Just a little bit of line, he'll take it.
All right, here's Leon serving. So you get to see kind of the back view of Leon here. And I should note also that Leon has the fastest serve in the history of volleyball. Him and Zaitsev, who you'll see later in this video, both have 134 kilometers an hour serve. So these guys are the two fastest hitters in history. Yakovlev, which you saw earlier, was the fastest in history up to that point in the 2000 Olympics at 123 kilometers an hour. These guys are serving at 134 kilometers an hour. So you can see the technique and also the strength and conditioning and also the workout things and training methods have been improved. So you get a lot of different speeds from that angles. I love Leon also. Every time he aces or gets a big play, he kind of he's a showman. So here's him in slow motion. Again, this is phase one with the jump and the loading here. Not really looking about that. Now here, this is where phase two starts. So you can see he curls and he brings his wrist out. I don't know, I call this a hammer because it looks like he's bringing a hammer out and then the hammer down around. He's got really good hip-shoulder separation. The left hand's pretty standard, but the right arm kind of curls and hammers. And then there's phase three, of course. Phase three looks pretty normal for everybody. It's pretty standard, but his phase two arm swing is a hammer out, relaxed wrist, over the top. Here's a couple more hits by Leon in real life. Here, this is some actual attacks. So again, here's that kind of quick hammering motion where the arm gets outside the body. The left goes up standard, the right goes out and then back down. But his phase three is so amazing that he reaches so high, he's so loose and long that he's just unstoppable. So again, we're looking at phase two here, the load. Leon's loading phase. He curls the wrist, his hand is up. Now how quickly he gets that load from there, it automatically starts. A lot of players go up and up and up and up. His automatically curls right from there. It's already getting back. And it's already in a good rhythm. He's a really smooth hitter. So there's no back and forth. There's no loss of motion. It's a very, very nice whip transfer of energy. There you go again right here. So right there you can already see him starting to break that arm. There you can see already the arm's curling and going back. So it doesn't get up there. It doesn't both arms don't get up high. The other arm starts to curl quickly. That creates a lot of shoulder hip load movement. It gets the arm and socket ball going backwards into a nice relaxed loose motion. And then he can really whip that ball forward. So and again here. There's no stopping and starting. It goes back, it's relaxed, and then it flips over quickly. Nice quick flip. Very smooth. All right, next we got Destiny Hooker here. So Destiny Hooker was a really good player for Texas. She set the record for most kills in a NCAA final match. She was a good player for the 2012 Olympics. She still plays today, but she was one of the top women attackers. Just giving you a good look at what she does before. Okay, let's get a good look here. So she's pretty similar arm swing as Leon here. She kind of does this hammer motion where it's kind of right there. She's already breaking it. She's kind of keeping it out a little bit more. She doesn't keep it very close to the body. She keeps it kind of out. Not exactly like Leon, but it's out. And it's pretty standard, just kind of a nice little hammer flip. So she loads it pretty quickly. It's already right there. She's already getting her arm swing ready. So this is the loading phase. She's already getting her arm swing ready, set up into that. It's kind of a gravity load. She's not pulling back. She's just kind of letting it loose and go back naturally. And then she's so loose that she gets on top of it, just like Leon here. But we can really see the load from this angle here. There, so right here. There she brings it. She's already broken it and brings it out. Again, there from the right side. Here's where we start it. And it goes back. Smooth. Oh, we got Jiba here a little bit. This is him doing a full kind of roundhouse swing here. So it's kind of hard to see a little bit. There's more on Jiba, but this one you can see the arm is really roundhoused out here. Really here, outside, really a roundhouse motion. All right, next player is Ingapeth. He kind of does a pretty standard thumb up. He's very symmetrical in his movements. You can see how cross it is here, but he does the little thumb up break and then thumb down quickly. And then pull around, so. Here it is again. But it's fast. It's a lot. It's an easy, smooth load. It's an easy forward up break, hand, wrist up. And then out, and he's really fast. He's a very fast athlete. There, natural break already starting it going back. Quick arm. Compact quick. Jump serve right there. You can see the arm already getting loaded back a little bit. Thumb is up, wrist around. Here you can see his arm from this angle being elbows broken, not elbows straight up. He's already starting his arm swing there. That's his style, arm quick and then snapped quick. Again, here, there, you can see this natural double break. Both arms broken. Both arms already equal, pushing back. All right, we got a quick kind of wedge here, diamond shaped arm swing here, which doesn't create a lot of range here. Here we go with diamond shaped. It's a quick load, gets on the ball fast. The arm socket goes up. See how it directly goes up to load here. And then we have some Boscovich here, who does an interesting X load, which I like a lot. I like the X load. So her her right arm, which is because she's left-handed, once it comes up here, it creates this X motion that's creating a lot of tension and twist. And then her hitting arm gets loaded super fast. It never goes up higher than her shoulder blade. It goes completely straight back. So it goes straight back right away, Boscovich. Again, I'm going to go dive in more with Boscovich on a different video and later on. In this video, it's a different motion, just kind of showing you here. All right, middle attack. This is a type of middle here. You can see there's the load. Left arm goes up naturally. Right arm, he's really bringing a roundhouse down. Load motion. And then gets it up there. So it's really loose. It has to be really loose. It has to be a lot of loose, and it has to be a lot of full body twist. So this is Ryan Millar from USA. Again there. So going back, this is from the early 90s. I want to just show you that these things have been around forever. Like every player has their own little arm swing and stuff, so I like to throw in a couple videos here and there. Here's Gilson from Brazil, 1993. He has a really interesting tight load. I really like his arm swing actually. His arm swing's really close to the body. He keeps it really close to the chest, and it's really fast, and it's a lot of quick motion, and it's a nice ball and socket movement. So you can see here how the hand is really close to the chest, and then the elbow gets out at the last second. The arm comes out. All right, here's Brazil practice from now. We're going to be looking at the middle here. He has a really long, almost like elephant arm load, really far back, gets it really high, much different motion, as you can see here. So again, we see this motion up, it goes straight up above his head in a nice arm motion load here. And then it goes into phase 3, which is normal. But you can see that and how different that is. That's a really extreme up motion. He's got a lot of looseness in his shoulder to be able to get some power off of that. It's also 7 foot. But he has a cool arm swing too. I like that. It's an interesting load. Here is Hack from VKF Bank. She's only 20. She's from Sweden. She's a great player. So she's got an interesting kind of load too. She brings it out to the side. You can see this. She brings her arm to the right side. Brings it pretty far outside. I usually don't like the hand being outside of the elbow. I like to keep it, the elbow and the wrist, everything pretty close inward so you get some nice motion, but she gets it out and then flips it around very fast. As you can see again here, right there, she goes out and up with it, around, and then she's in the acceleration phase there. That's the third phase, which everybody does, so. Here is the opposite for Fenerbahce from Cuba, Vega. She's a pretty textbook arm swing too. She gets that thumb down to her ear, which is really nice. So she goes up at the left first. The left is going up first. The right kind of trails behind it. And the thumb is down quickly. So she's activating that back of her delt. And that way it can pull back in a good symmetrical motion. And the thumb is down, which is good. It's not a lot of wrist action. She's not really engaging the wrist, which is good. It's neutral. And then she's got a lot of elasticity there, so she's back into her normal zone. That's her phase 3. She's okay. So at phase 2, right here, the load phase, right there, she got that natural left break, and the arm is tight inside. So I like this. This is a pretty textbook, not a whole lot of motion, but it's really picturesque, perfect, and it allows this arm to slide back behind the head. But you want to get that hand behind the head, of course, obviously. Let's see it in normal speed. You're trying to load that hand up so it slides behind the head into that acceleration phase. Here's one of the middles for Italy. He's on their national team. Again, totally different style. Big roundhouse break here. Goes up initially. It's interesting because he goes up initially with both. This is kind of unique too. He goes up initially with both and then pulls it full roundhouse. You can see this arm is completely down. So he goes up and then roundhouse, which is interesting. All right, here's Grozer. He's the German opposite. He's also one of the top servers in the world history. He's monster server. And he's got that kind of Yakovlev wrist up, curl that hand in. So you can see the wrist kind of, it looks like this. That's what the hand looks like. The arm's there, the hand's here, and then the wrist does that. It's facing this way, so you can see it right there. And then it goes out. So the wrist, you can see his tape on his fingers. And then it goes out there. So it's a lot of wrist action. It's got a little bit of flair to it. And here's full speed, how fast. But there he's already starting the wrist break. It's kind of like that curled, that thumb up curl, bicep curl wrist action. So he's getting this natural break, and then he's really relaxing it back, and the wrist flips over, and then the hand gets behind the head. All right, this is Louise from Cuba, from the women's team back in the mid-90s. She was a pretty fantastic player. So we're just going to take a look at her. She's on the outside here, obviously. She was the captain. She wasn't super tall, but she was amazing. As you can obviously see. So here again, jumps, and then the arm automatically goes out to the side into a swinging back motion where it's getting a lot of momentum. It's not going up and then back. It's going straight back, so the arm is really parallel to the shoulder blade, and it's really opening up that scap, opening up that back, opening up that trap. It's allowing a lot of motion to go back, and then a lot of that back motion turns into torque. There you can see right here. So she jumps up high right here, and then the arm just naturally stays low and relaxed. And then she flies, and then absolutely fast. So it's really slow into that motion because she starts it early. It's really relaxed and slow back. And then when she's at her coiled tap maximum, she can actually accelerate that arm very fast because she's created this big chain with her legs and her back torque, and that arm is being relaxed the whole time, and now she's just flipping it forward in a good spot. Just over the top all the time. She had an amazing jump.